Hey everyone, welcome back to Spotlight Reviews, and on the Spotlight today is Season 3, Episode 10 of The Handmaid's Tale. Let's get started. Now, in this episode, we are starting to see the shift of Gilead conforming to DC's standards, according to, what Aunt Lydia says. And one of these ways that they're conforming is Commander Lawrence's home, who I call Commander Law. Now, let's flash back to what his home looks like before. Now, I'm flashing back from season 2 when we first meet Commander Lawrence and Emily is introduced to him, because it has more of the shots of his home. So these are the reference pictures that I'm using is from that episode in season 2. Okay, so Commander Lawrence has this eclectic style. He's got like abstract paintings on the wall. He has 2 paintings on the wall right here by the banister. And now in this episode in season 3, episode 10, there are no more pictures. Nothing is up there. It's just completely cleared. You can also see in this shot that underneath the chandelier, that table right there, it just has, minimal things on it. This is a shot of the other side of the entryway in season 2. There's a sculpture lamp, there's paintings, all types of stuff over there. On the other side, there are boxes that Cora was tripping on, in the middle of the hallway. And now when June comes in, everything looks clean and neat and clear. And also, the wallpaper on this wall that's closest to us, it looks like they changed that wallpaper to just a different color with the same exact pattern. Also, you see lots of paintings, books, sculptures, different artwork all around that room. But then when June comes home, basically everything is cleared out. It's nothing but the furniture, the table has nothing on it, and just basic, decorative accessories. What I like is that Commander Lawrence does not completely neglect his sense of style. This same sculpture head that's on this decorative dresser is the exact same sculpture head that is now in his office. So I feel like he founded a new home and he didn't want to get rid of all of his things. And it just shows, he's still trying to hold on to his personal style within his home. And while we're in his office, let's just point out a few things. For one, all his books are on the floor, of course. There's a map in that left hand side on the wall, and I noticed it had some pink sticky notes. I wonder what those sticky notes represents. Different parts of the United States that they're overtaking or trading with, etc. I just thought that was interesting. He still has a painting left over, on that back wall that he doesn't want to take down. I also noticed this book that's sitting on his desk, and from what I can make out, I got the words "The Case for Relaunching Mercantilism," maybe, and it says Joseph L. So that's one of his books that he wrote, and I just thought that was very interesting to show, that book on the desk, especially because he is one of the architects of Gilead's economy, and now he is being affected by it. Okay, let's talk about Commander Winslow's visit to Gilead. Now, I know that Fred has to put on this horse and pony show because he wants to ensue trust with Commander Winslow, and knowing that certain policies that DC is going by is also being enforced by Fred's, territory within Gilead. One thing I'm noticing is they use different color flags to mark different regions within Gilead. This region that we're at within Gilead uses white flags, and then when you go to DC, they have the Gilead crest on red flags. So that to me was a designation between which area you're in within Gilead. I was confused by Fred and June's interaction here. I couldn't tell whether Fred was trying to flirt with June or be extra nice to her because he doesn't want another grocery store to get shot up during this visit. And it seems like June was sort of confused also. And then all of a sudden she just says, "Oh, your wife is here." Like almost like they have something going on. Did anybody else find that awkward and just really creepy the way Fred was acting during this scene? Serena was acting weird too. I mean, she asked June if she was okay, but didn't really seem like it was genuine or she really cared. So, and she just kept giving her this look, like this longing look after she walked away. Like it was just a weird interaction. I don't know if she's just cautious about June and because June is always trying to play an angle, or does she think that June has some type of threshold onto Fred, or I'm not sure like what that was supposed to say, but if you guys have more insight about what you think was going on there, please let me know, because I would love to hear what you guys think. So as Serena is over there talking to June, the commanders and Lydia are talking about that veil, and Commander Winslow is basically asking like the veil, the ring, like what's going on with that, and Fred is saying that they're rolling it out slowly, which they are. We saw that one handmaid in the grocery store with the veil on. Now Aunt Lydia tells them the vow is voluntary, of course. And the Commander Winslow says, we hold the devotion of veiled handmaids to the highest extreme. So that makes me think that this whole veil and ring thing is supposed to be voluntary for the handmaids to do as a show of ultimate, devotion and submission to Gilead and what their service to Gilead. But clearly it's probably not, because in DC, every handmaid basically is veiled. So this was just a tidbit like that they had on the side. This little conversation just makes me think, okay, stuff is about to get real, and they're about to be implementing these really strict policies like aggressively. So let's talk about June's plot and plan in order to get the kids to escape Gilead, and her relationship with other handmaids. I mean, I feel like June has kind of lost the trust of other handmaids, because even though June has good intentions, I feel like they know she's bold, but she kind of oversteps the line, and she also goes into things robustly without a whole plan. In some ways, I'm really glad that June seems to be turning another leaf and having that selflessness and caring about other people's kids and not only her own, since there's really nothing she could do about getting to Hannah right now. But on another hand, I kind of always feel that June kind of manipulates people in order to fit what she's trying to accomplish. Like, she knows that Alma is pretty much scared to even get involved with June right now, and she uses that information about Alma's son in order to convince her to assist her with this plan. Now, is it compassion or is it manipulation? I don't know. With June, it kind of teeters back and forth between that line. Even though she has the support of Martha's and Commander Lawrence and other handmaids for this plan, I am waiting to see how this plan is going to be, carried out, because I just don't know how many trips are you going to be able to make? How many people can you take per trip? Where are you going to store these kids in order to transport them? Where do they go once they get to the other side? Who else is going with them? I mean, there's so many different variables to this that I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. I just want to say I really am starting to adore Eleanor. I think every time we see her, she's just erratic and disheveled, but for some reason she doesn't seem weak to me. She seems still strong. She has her own sort of strength. And I love this scene when June is trying to sneak and find the files, and she's like, well, he keeps it downstairs. Like, let's go. She is not into this Gilead play games. And she is just like, whatever you're plotting and scheming, let's do it. And I also feel like when she told June, it's so much more exciting when you're around. I'm happy you're back. I was like, oh, girl, you're going to be eating those words, because, it's about to get real exciting for you later on. This was definitely a heartbreaking episode when it came to Eleanor. Okay, let's get into Commander Waterford's scheme on Commander Lawrence. Now, was this chaperoned rape a pledge to expose a counterfeit believer of Gilead's principles? No. This was a desperate attempt to tattletale on someone who Fred doesn't like, because Commander Lawrence threatens the idea that Fred can keep order because of his untraditional ways of living in Gilead. And also, I think he has some jealousy because June is with Commander Lawrence now. I say this because after Commander Winslow asks June if she enjoys staying with Commander Lawrence, she says he treats me with respect. Fred gives her this weird look, and then after they have their ceremony, Fred goes up to her and checks on her, and she says, well, at least it wasn't you. And that look on his face is just kind of like of disappointment. And then Serena is looking at him, watching June walk away, and it's almost like Serena has caught them in some type of stolen moment together. So I just feel like he is jealous of Commander Lawrence having June, and Fred still has some type of infatuation with June. All right, guys, let's get into this ceremony. First of all, this was just a whole hot mess. June was never warned that there was going to be some type of supervised ceremony. So she's just caught off guard after she keeps hearing all these different voices come in the room, which makes it completely awkward. You know, the Marthas have no idea where they're supposed to stand. Mrs. Law delays saying come in to Commander Lawrence. Commander Lawrence doesn't know where his key to his Bible box is and has to play it off and blame Beth for moving his key. And then they all just end up in the room like, what are we going to do now? This whole situation was so deep and ironic. First of all, I like the fact that they portrayed a man and a couple who weren't compliant to this part of the Gilead experience. I felt really empathetic towards Eleanor, but not so much Commander Lawrence, because it's like, Commander Lawrence, it's easy to talk about it, it's easy to write books about it, but once it's time to be about it, this is when things get actually real. And you've been hiding behind this security blanket of privilege. And now, once that's been taken away, a handmaid has to coach you through a process that you helped develop. You know, this reminds me of that saying that those who create the laws don't actually have to abide by them, because now you're reaping what you sow. I mean, you wrote all about these things and you talked all about this and you condescended June for wanting to get her child out, even though this is a better life for her child. And now you're going to end up having to do the same thing she has to do. You're going to have to sleep with somebody you don't want to. I feel like with Eleanor, you know, Eleanor is so emotionally condemned by Gilead. And I think her heart was truly broken at this point. I was really hoping that Eleanor in this story would basically have like a comeback and she would find her strength and she would start working the system to her benefit and working it out. But I really feel like after this broke her down so bad that the best decision for her is to leave and escape to Canada, because this is basically her worst nightmare coming to fruition. My thing is, though, Commander Lawrence is such an intelligent guy. I feel like he would be 3 steps ahead of this type of situation as far as what he could do in case they tried to trap him like this. And I felt like just the fact that he was so unprepared in that way for this scenario just made me feel like he hasn't thought about all of the consequences that can really come from him not being a full participant in Gilead's procedures. Couple things I noticed. Serena tries to comfort Eleanor. I mean, I know they heard Eleanor screaming from downstairs because she was screaming loud and like in anguish. So I think Serena really felt bad and she felt invasive to even go through with this type of procedure. I also noticed that Commander Winslow has 2 stars on his jacket, which symbolizes another rank in the commander structure, and that he was actually on a tablet when he was sitting and waiting for the ceremony to be over. So I thought that was a small thing, but it was kind of interesting when I see these bits of technology that you don't normally see in Gilead on a regular basis. All right, the last thing I want to go over is why Serena showed Fred this phone. I mean, Fred has been giving Serena a seat at the table. When they were in the hotel talking to Commander Winslow, he gave her a drink. She's sitting there talking about Gilead and the policies and how men are set in their ways. And like I said before, I don't know if Serena's involvement at the table is going to be a detriment to Fred. I said this in one of my other previous videos, but now he's starting to see that she's catching on to the things that he's doing. She knows that he's not putting finding Nicole first right now. I don't think it was smart for her to show him that phone, because she could have used that for other things and work that in a different type of scenario. But now Fred is going to be feeling the pressure from Serena to get this process of getting Nicole back expedited. And, you know, he's going to feel pressure from the other side of Commander Winslow wanting Nicole to stay there. So I'm interested to see how that is going to play out later on. Alright guys, this is all I have. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.